Welcome back to another video, loyal viewer. This video is the third part in our series to unite the workers of the world and finish story. Although there was struggle, this video will be the first time where we will have the upper hand on our enemies. In this online server, there are multiple nations. The aggressive, imperialist, capitalist empire, the neutral old hermits, and finally our great Goon Nation, organized after an anarchist syndicalist structure. If you want the details of how our nation is organized, you can read our manifesto in the description. I want to stress that it's not necessary to watch part 1 and 2 to follow this video, but I do suggest doing so before you watch this for context. Without further ado, I will see you on the battlefield.
To survive the winter, Goon Nation will need to double their food supply and expand their housing project. If Goon Nation for whatever reason fails to deliver on providing these basic needs for their citizens, it might cause general unrest and maybe even a counter-revolution.
With winter approaching fast, the Builder Syndicate worked overtime on providing the proper housing for every worker in the nation. Only time will tell whether or not they can get enough houses finished before the dawn of winter. At first, the Builder Syndicate did propose an idea to build temporary improvised housing in the cave systems underground, but this idea was thrown out by the Farmers and Miners Syndicate for being too dangerous due to turbulent temporal activity and the danger of cave-ins. Unfortunately for the Builder Syndicate, every day an increasing number of workers decided to turn their backs on their capitalist overlords and joined the ranks of Goon Nation. Meaning, we need a lot more houses by the day. While the builders were busy with this, I decided to shift the focus of the Farmers Syndicate a bit this autumn. Our food production was running fairly steady, and at least for now, all we could do was wait for the crops to grow before winter freezes our soil solid. So, instead of sitting around, we decided to be proactive and contribute to Goon Nation with our newest invention, the windmill. Although it doesn't sound very impressive on its own, constructing a windmill will allow us to use wind power, which we can then use to automate our quern. We use this quern to make processed items like flour, charcoal powder, and more. Automating this part of our labor production will mean we have time for other stuff. And don't get scared now, because I will be throwing some business theory terms at you, but this allows us to have a labor surplus. A concept even Karl Marx spoke of extensively when he described surplus labor as the portion of the working day that produces value over and above what's necessary to sustain the worker. Unlike the parasitic bourgeoisie, however, we in Goon Nation intended to put this surplus to use for the benefit of the collective. In our case, the extra time gained from automating the quern meant the farmers could finally begin new community projects. Some of these were practical, like reinforcing or aiding the builders with resource gathering or hunting animals for meat. Others were more ideological in nature, like one of our farmers being able to open his own miner syndicate on the side. This is the Education Syndicate. The Education Syndicate, which, although it doesn't get a vote in the assembly meetings, can still be called upon for discussion relevant to young workers or education. After all, Marx once wrote, "The ruling idea of each age have ever been the ideas of the ruling class." And we at Goon Nation, with our ties to both communism and anarcho-syndicalism, will take any chance we can to get our workers involved in our political process. Which we will attempt to achieve by establishing high literacy and a thorough understanding of both political and communist theory. But unfortunately, not all would be perfect. With the days growing shorter and colder, a certain anxious energy settled over Goon Nation.
Barrays. Here once. Oh. Hello? Bullet attacked me.
The farmers worried about an early frost that could claim the last of our crops. The builders were afraid of housing and firewood shortages. Even the miners began to grumble about time and effort it took to smelt and work their newest acquired metal, iron. The uses of which officially brought us into the Iron Age. With all the excess time on our hands, we decided to build a second, bigger and taller windmill at the smithery. The windmill could drive the bellows for the forge and power a mechanical hammer, easing the work of smelting and shaping iron, which means the miners will only need to gather the resources and assemble the tools, while the windmill smiths their ingots and tool parts for them. This took us about another day and basically dried up our cobblestone reserves. So, after the windmill was finished, and now that the miners have some surplus labor, they started digging out a quarry to obtain more stone for our warehouse. This will be great for the construction of the wall around our town during the winter, which will also be necessary to keep the capitalists out. This basically took all day. And considering this was day 2, it is now time for the 5th Goon Assembly. The fear of the cold front creeping around in the backs of everyone's mind. Welcome to the 5th Goon Assembly. As you guys know, we had a lot of excess labor this autumn. In the cellar of the storage building, we have stocked up on a lot of firewood, which we will be using over the winter.
During this time, our iron resources are getting a bit low, so we need to probably go on a few more expeditions to find more resources. And coal as well. We're running drastically low on coal. I'm having to burn the firewood just to make charcoal.
Your next responsibility for the entire winter is going to be digging out the quarry, because we're going to need a lot of stone. Like, I'm talking about hundreds of stacks of stone.
For your request of the quarry, I will need a few more recruits.
Okay. Well then,
Should we get back to it?
yes.
Oh, yeah. As the winter snow rolled across the lands of Goon Nation and the farmlands started to freeze up, one of our comrades in the expeditionary force came back with reports from the west.
Comrade, it seems that the Empire has finished their fourth and is now shifting all of their focus to making weapons and armor. They are on high alert, and when we got spotted, I was the only one from the expeditionary force to escape. This can only mean one thing: war.
With this threat now in the back of our minds, we decided to focus all hands on mass producing simple armor, ranged weapons, and finishing the walls. As stated in the Goon Nation Manifesto, in times of war, impending war, or crisis, a 4th syndicate will be created, named the Revolutionary Militia. This syndicate will be in charge of organizing the workers that volunteer to fight and potentially die for Goon Nation. The very existence of our nation could depend on the outcome of this arms race, and so Comrade Rusty Castle stepped up to lead the Revolutionary Militia, and both be in charge of our ground forces and our preparations.
Those conniving capitalists threaten the sanctity of our socialist society. It is time we pay them their dues and secure the future of our beloved nation. To war!
While these preparations were ongoing, the Farmers Syndicate decided to start construction of a greenhouse, where we could plant crops that cannot survive the outside winter. After that was done, we decided to help out the builders and miners with gathering stone and constructing the walls, which was a grueling process. We first needed to dig out enough stone for the quarry and clay from foraging to craft thousands of cobblestone. After that, we helped build parts of the actual wall, but mostly we helped dig out the large moat surrounding it. Not to mention that at this time the Farmers Union was still responsible for food allocation, storage and preservation. To contribute to the war effort, I personally decided to volunteer my labor to make cloth armor for most of the militia. Although we would have some metal-made armors like iron and bronze done, we knew it would be impossible to get enough of these done before the Empire would make their first move. So, the majority of the nation would be using tailored Gambison armor. This gave them some pretty decent protection against blunt force and sharp objects like arrows and swords. I decided to color everyone's personal armor set based on what syndicate they're a part of, for better cohesion in battle, and because it looks cool as heck. Around this time is when we got a bunch of new syndicate members, and it is when we discovered the crab house.
The guy who had a bunch of crap.
Gang
Gang up on the new guy.
Unfortunately, not all was well. and the night before the battle, Goon Nation was betrayed. At the start of spring, most of Goon Nation was out doing various tasks, like foraging, patrolling, and mining, and behind the scenes a plot was made. 2 of our comrades betrayed the nation, killed the guards at the gate and barred it from the inside. With nowhere else to go, and no central line of communication, the different groups of Goon Nation scattered, and were then picked off one by Empire soldiers waiting in ambush.
Although most battles were lost, some were not, and eventually, me and a few survivors linked up miles away from our original base. This is when we decided that Goon Nation should isolate itself and centralize their command structure more. After we got sick of being homeless, we picked an island to live on, and we started building our new nation, which we would later call the Goon People's Republic. This time, we will learn from our mistakes and improve upon them. We started off on a small island where we built a temporary house nearby on the mainland. While the builders were busy creating new clay molds like pots, the Farmer Syndicate would busy themselves with constructing a new and improved farm on the island. After this, I started working on a revised version of the Manifesto, in which the Goon People's Republic's power will be centralized to a single party, the Communist Party of Goon Nation, or the CPGN in short. They will oversee the country's shift from socialism to communism. There would be elections once per real-life month where the people can vote who will be the chairman of the party, or in other words, the leader of the country. Some other major changes include the addition of the Central Planning Council, in charge of ordering what and how many resources we need per period, such as grain, stone, clay, etc. Conscription is now mandatory for all able-bodied workers. Although the revolutionary militia is not a permanent entity, in times of war, aiding in the fight is no longer voluntary. And lastly, although the syndicates will keep existing, they will be reorganized into ministries. The leaders of these ministries are picked by the leader of the CPGN, and these ministries will answer mostly to the Central Planning Council. For more details, you can read the new manifesto in the description. It will be the second link. Because of the nature and instability of our fragile nation, I volunteered as the first chairman of the CPGN, and thus the leader of the revolution. I then appointed myself as the Minister of Agriculture and Food Supply, Fask as the Minister of Construction and Infrastructure, and Tesco as the Minister of Mining and Metallurgy. Lastly, I appointed absolutely nothing as the Minister of the Central Planning Council. Then, me and Fast started planning out the construction of our new fortress. This time, we will start with strong defenses and expand our housing from there, instead of the other way around. Safety is now our #1 priority, so we started crafting some blueprints. This is also when we created the Goon People's Republic Navy. This would mostly be used for logistics, travel and resource gathering. But if necessary, we can turn this into a quick response force, or QRF in short, in case of war. For now, at least the spirit of Goon Nation will live on. But it's only a matter of time till the Empire notices that they have not eradicated us. We started construction on our new base. We would temporarily construct a small house which we will use to store resources and food. To preserve the food we need a cellar. And so me and Comrade Lee started constructing it.
I have dyscalculia.
Oh, it's okay.
What do you mean it's okay? I don't think so.
Unfortunately, we would need to dig a new quarry to collect the necessary stone. We've been set back quite a bit. Although we still have some of our tools, we lost our smithery, windmills and old farms. It would take us days to get all of this back. So we will advance one step at a time, prioritizing food and defenses first. Today marked the first official announcement from the Central Planning Council. Our initial production quotas. These prioritized easy to produce metals for mass tool distribution, cobblestone for fortifications, flax fiber for clothing, and cabbages as our primary food crop. Based on the schematics I shared earlier, we also needed a functioning smithery as soon as possible. So once the first few wall segments were finished, I began laying the foundation for it. Progress was slow, not because of a lack of will, but because rebuilding from nothing takes time. A lot of time. Our goal for the coastal fort is to create a central stronghold, integrating our farms, smithery, food storage, and living quarters all in one secure location. These walls won't be done in a day, or even a week, but every stone laid brings us closer to safety. Eventually, we plan to expand inland and establish a proper village. There, each comrade will be provided a home by the Goon People's Republic. Not bought or rented, but earned through labor and granted as a right. But before that dream can be realized, we need to survive the rebuilding phase. And so, with quotas assigned and construction underway, we took our first step towards a new beginning, brick by brick. One foggy morning, some of our workers spotted a suspicious ship on the horizon. At first, we feared it was an Imperial raid. Luckily, it turned out to be one of our comrades from the expeditionary force returning with news. The Empire was fortifying outposts, dangerously close to our new home. A few skirmishes broke out on the mainland, nothing major yet, but enough to remind us that war was inevitable. Back at the Planning Council, we held an emergency session. I proposed increasing arms production again, while Minister Tesco insisted we couldn't divert more metals until the next shipment from the mines. Arguments ensued, and in the end, it was absolutely nothing, our Minister of Central Planning Council, who found a solution. We must begin mass producing simpler iron spears and crude bows, faster and cheaper than swords or armor. After we have accumulated a good amount of weapons, we will start working on improving our craftsmanship and crafting better weapons and armor. For now, this will do. And so, the Minister of Mining and Metallurgy begrudgingly agreed. Hey, you. Yes, you. Do you want to be more than just a miner, a farmer, a builder? In Goon Nation, every comrade has a role. Every action has meaning. Whether you are defending our fort with the militia, drafting blueprints for the Ministry of Construction, or preserving cabbage in the name of the revolution, your labor is legacy. The Goon People's Republic needs you. We are still growing, and so is the Empire, and we need more manpower. That's why I've set up a Discord with an application process where you can apply today. If you're interested in joining, click the third link in the description. We are looking for soldiers, stonemasons, miners, farmers, and any other proletariat that has a useful skill they can apply to the Republic. Thank you so much for watching, comrades. I really hope you enjoyed it. And please, let me know what your favorite part of the video was in the comments. Oh, and of course, don't forget to
Like and
Like and
subscribe.
subscribe.
Yeah.
Lastly, I have also made a community Discord for you guys, where you can stay updated on my video progress, play games together, and read an animal fact every Friday. I know there's a lot of links, but click the fourth one in the description if you want to join. And I'll see you next time. Bye!
Who's counting?
It's so awkward. What? Everybody's.
You guys
Who's
keep
gonna
count.
count
You guys
down,
keep
bro?
count.
Counting.
4,
Who the
5.
fuck starts on?
Like, what I'm being chained up
Oh, you
in
got
a
little glasses
cellar,
on.
live on TV. Please subscribe.
Go follow me on Twitch.